Hello, species value nature value. Hello, species value nature system. This is about logic, the identity of logic. Logic has an identity that is greater than its own value, as an unceasingly, increasingly valuable possession. Because of this, all values are in relationship to the identity of value progression that was self-generating, and is self-generating, that originally bonded matter in relationship to life's value as a quality of diffusion, as a forever nature's positive or negative relationship to a little bit more of the only capable of staying positive to its identity, semi-nature of itself, coming a little bit more into reality. The real reason there's polarity, Alpha and Omega was revealed to teach this. Not one or the other is positive and negative. Their value together is positive or negative. As an increasing nature of volume, and within as a nature of volume, our value as nature and value simultaneously as value nature, inside values nature. So the identity of logic is the value of the bond onto the alphabet that is invisible but still discernible, and where and how there are three natures of this of invisible but discernible value. And as, for example, if we put an electrical charge strong enough into metal, we're going to make a magnet. It's going to carry the charge. If anyone has experimented with magnets, if you put two rectangular magnets on top of each other one way, they'll stick to each other. But if you flip it over, they'll repel each other. That's because the identity of the electrical current, of the not just the energy, but all parts of it. The energy has an identity greater than it. The identity of nature has a simultaneously distinctly and non-distinct, distinct and non-distinct relationship to itself that is unceasingly positive. And us as a quality of diffusion, where and how life and death are bonded as a quality of diffusion every moment. We are increasing nature of volume that has a nature of relationship to itself. For example, needs for clean water, needs for means, not just for some of the people out of the forsaken, worse than never liberated, worse than never having had legal representation, people from every single area, especially. This is a trap way worse than divide and conquer. It's about the organized crime method that was to the fact, treatment, nature, slavery of America's founders in every modern nation. They were forced to hide, shared policing. That was so sick, every individual victim, predator, rolls in a value nature system. They stuck slavery in there to keep, specifically. They knew we are value in as every value is, with a bond onto it that is a value relationship to perfect value progression. Now this can't be healed with people going, oh, the president wrote a tweet, so the markets were, those same misprision bodies, victim predators, pretending that they're about positive and about science, offensively, using premise treatments and convictions that are lies consciously while they're pretending theater truth, as told to per their jobs, per criminality with their interbranch sources, just because they're interbranch. and then with them pretending to be against that, like pretending to be against, because everyone's facilitated to needs to hide lies, being styles, conviction natures valuing pseudo-positive, and lie progressions maintained originally and still valued as a whole bunch of methods of lying and of blaming other people, because everyone's forced to lie. Each age of fact cheap nature was left forsaken, because everyone's talking only about a value nature system. Everyone was forced to pretend is positive that is not. These are not means. That needs wars, valued here and there to defend itself. Fact cheaping wise, just keep locking people up. Whole bunch of nations with psychology recorded. This is about that. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a police force, I'm not a criminal, but since founding, we've had the needs to explain how doctors of psychology think about how there's still people alive from the Second World War. We had to go into the First World War because we're still and still are victim predators of every modern nation is, which is a method that knew that every modern nation would be able to not be able to defend their positions, their identities of jobs as types of experts, and all this juxtaposed originally all a bunch of criminal enterprises, a whole bunch of natures of criminally legalized ones forced on with the fact cheaping nature slavery of our founders. So you can't explain the motivations with slavery. Recorded, there are like they did this is a crime method that motivated people to other, forced people to all sick value nature systems. What's that mean? Market positions that were criminally foreign influenced, but everyone blaming the cause of it on other things and on others, not selves, and that being valued in relationship to formal fact treatment. Then there has to hide it by pretending to be about positive when there's a reason that we all need fresh water. We all need a clean sea anyway. We all need the system of Earth to work in relationship to itself. That's going to be more and more positive evolution, or not. This per nature of sciences that revealed English before they were criminally re-engineered in some ancient times, specifically to have that defended. So don't steal my movie too, because I have to say this out loud, because everyone's not allowing science mandated law. They're all just pretending they don't realize it, and they're relying upon experts, types of experts that have physical delusions with regarding reception law, because people need to report recorded various natures of courts in collusion. And once you did that and people start talking about it, then they have to lie about those people more and more. They're forging names, switching names, interbranch, sequence shifts. Now these are tied to proven, have been time stamped on time in the Ninth Circuit in Manhattan before the Trade Center attack. Then in the Trade Center attack context, right before the attack, there was a panel of judges showing post-dated documents. This was later proven. So inside the court, those documents had been post-dated inside the Trade Center attack context. And, more than ironically, criminally, the federal criminals in that case and witnesses in it, they also had their own court cases. The FBI roles with them were used for crimes against me, and the same people they helped in their case with that, but they hurt them all the way, because there were more crimes with the Trade Center attack context too, with the Scalora family, and as people with identity thefts, with and as other family members of a house in my area also recorded, confessed with more crime rolls, with interbranch families, and with police forms, and with forensics cliques, and doctors recorded crime acts and delusions with a principal sex offenders campus further, with a South State Middle School further, per them, with a Phil Clo further, per Bob Chase also further criminally involved with him, per him. And these are identity theft clicks with fake news, crime acts also attach me and little kids to fake relationships to others with narratives of overt criminal enterprises in their mouths through grammar schools. And these are cliques that did this through time criminally. How they exploit that is also on off campuses sequentially, vertically and horizontally, where the identity of ground and our relationship to it and the identity of from off campuses that's maintained in collusion each for intercampuses of each age and each type, maintained misprising, valuing, sensibilities maintained for a method that bonds a whole bunch of them, maintained everyone recorded valuing the obfuscation of the identity of the Trinity, which is the nature of finite volume, the order to it, smaller than the smallest thing, is a grip onto it as the order of it in demonstration to us, where the smallest things of our body is healthy or not in relation to this natures of identity's relationship to itself. And is what is positive that progresses here as temporary lasting positive, as more evolution, or what doesn't. What does is to that order positive. That's also in relationship to what is the value of the bond of earth, distinctly and non-distinctly, in demonstration of this to us, of our fleeting value now, leth of hadith, not gaining here. Because now we're no longer valuing the species volume. Body of value discernment / sexes to discern this. Simultaneously bonded onto each individual are the value of both parents. And of this that connects as the simultaneous nature from before us, beyond our control, and after us, beyond our control. See, this was a Trinity. Then it generated matter, still a Trinity. But in matter, it's a Trinity with a part that was value before and a part that was value after, as a gaining value after and as a gaining value before, as a self-generation, as a self-generating identity of value throughout nature. See, our definition of nature with ancientgamingsystem.com, Campus Marcius, and logic's identity, most scientific. See, Allah is a term for science. This is not denying or the Quran at all, but it's not agreeing with convictions placed on it and or nor on the Old Testament, etc. And with justifications of it, and with passions offensively, delusions wrought, and criminally foreign influenced on a mass scale per ulterior motivations that kept value to already just before anyone was born. This too, all sophistication of systems were already human sensibilities before Jane Austen put sense and sensibilities, sense and sensibilities, the couplement of them was already being demonstrated to the human fact human nature needing to be able to explain and heal nature roles with criminal insidiousness nature valued. So this is what American history is about, how our founders left us means to know our complete course, and left us means to show how our complete course is going to be handed off to what is in the possession of it now, which is positive as criminal insidiousness nature. See, I'm not lawyer, I'm not police, I'm not criminal. This is recorded originally and still. Lawyers forced to be types of law. Originally still criminally foreign influence, you can't defend that. And also in relationship to what is exploiting that. Using types of experts to further their own crimes. Because that's not their job. They're just going for what they're getting paid for. You see what I'm saying? And that is in a value nature system also simultaneously criminally foreign influence specifically have a value as that. So the species needs free speech. They can't take it. So the more you try to say it, they interbranch, forge names, switch names. Worse, individually, grouped, and together, faking witnesses, making witnesses with sensibilities in fact treatments that will pretend things if you say things that are like tricks. Because they're also offensive sequence shifting, names forging, switching, not letting identity of ground, but to their forced fact treatments that are recorded offensively attaching lies and delusions and complete lies as truths and using truths as lies consciously, pretending they don't understand criminal exploitation of the exceptions and of uses of that every day to justify what is being blamed on things like money and stuff like that, when the only reason we have streams of hurt every day and of ill standards and means to afford things to counters and justifications of that with the roles and jobs in the stream, in the time they have to do their job, they can't react, not by accident. Then they do native things as influenced from natures of each modern nation has never had an organized crime countering body not in collusion, criminal collusion with what is criminally foreign, with and as what is criminally foreign influenced, specifically to maintain all areas and states, lie, progression, cover up nature styles, needs, and no, that's why they pretend value is voting. Not, you can't do that. That's what they pretended to hide our and to glorify hidden and insidiously told wrong American history. The same people spreading lies through kids with proven federal criminals through time, with proven narratives and finite active body of value, sequence shifts, identity thefts of overt criminal enterprises, of whole areas, of whole, in other words, but as victims too, of overt predators as interbranch roles with them, private tied to that, especially intercampuses, database tied cliques. Because this is a fact cheap in nature method that has everyone valued, roles with criminal and ceaseless nature, because that stays what is standard as a formal gang, victim predators. The same way the overt criminal enterprises are kept victim predators doing what they wouldn't do. See, we have see the houses outside the campus of Hartford Hospital criminally involved here, and with intercity, interbranch crimes with houses next to schools, crimes with the databases in schools, identity thefts attaching people of each age to fake relationships to others because they have a standard recorded offensive evidence reception crimes, both on per their own needs to hide interbranch original and still maintain propagated criminally foreign influence, lie progression, breaching screen tools, natures and weapons standing to all area. Worse. And so we're going to deal with the identity of logic, which is the bond onto and as the value of 26 sounds realized manifest value, and with a manifest value relationship to itself. That is with all things in demonstration of the complete nature / semi-nature dash semi-nature / complete nature that will only stay complete nature. See, now we're only valued to our own semi-nature and or just to group semi-nature, then we're a criminal insidiousness nature. Because we're not going by this nature's identity of relationship to itself, its system, its value progression system perfect. Because the species volume is bonded to us too for this. The identity of it is inseparable from all parts. Now, so here's where we're going to come to a lesson with President Trump and President Obama. Simultaneously, sequence nature 1, left to right. Obama came first. Right now, Trump is a chief at the same time. Simultaneous nature. At the same time, Native American completely real in another way, chief. You know, the real way, because they're completely native. But the identity ground is that native is in relationship to the species volume. So this can't be decided through contrast or correlation alone. That their value is what they are together value, positive or negative. And so we have also to describe recorded the same motivations and natures and senses and sensibilities grouped and pseudo-ratiocination bonded value. So when they say about, oh, the president said this to market shape, because everyone's a victim predator through criminally brain engineered sciences. Ancient gaming system, that we're going to deal each. We're going to take counter positions to each of the sciences. We're going to give a method. This is how we're going to fund. We're for the fund. Some of the ways we're going to fund mean stack, not just for the New York game, which is going to take a lot, but we're going to have the whole species helping. Now watch this. Watch this. Say we have a semi-holiday that's completely science. And all the militaries of the world are going to agree to allow and to facilitate means to the most exploited areas where we have people that would like to do it, that have millions of dollars or whatever, in other words, and for free. Heal and we can make also rivers that are reverse rivers, like a toilet for all the garbage they have to throw in water. You know, we have to, this is also very critical. You can't defend ourselves with people trying to defend environment as a fact treatment. Because this is a course, English, taught properly. Every science taught properly. This is about how value is in nature, and how it is simultaneously distinctly and non-distinctly value as a nature. While being physical value bond, the value of that bond, simultaneously distinctly and non-distinctly, while being this active identity of value, simultaneously while being the value of it progressively, of its progression. Again, in relationship to the identity that is that, and that is a little bit before this and a little bit after. So we come to the 5 semi-natures of the complete nature of the 5 pillars of Islam. I'm not saying that's what the Quran's about, but I'm not saying it denies it. In the first part of the Quran is asking believers to value believers and or non-believers who are honestly trying to who honestly believe something that the believers don't. But they're trying to explain it. And then we come to criminal insidiousness nature with treatments of positive, and where and how positivism and negative is in this course about how we are an increasing nature of volume, and that it has a positive or negative forever nature. This is where heaven and hell came from. This is the identity of algebra. This is the identity of logic. That we have psychology worse than polluted. What built campuses, what criminally re-engineered the Campus Marcius, was revealed before criminally foreign influenced nature of internation species volume. Originally having appreciated and valued and so been shown greater and greater the value of valuing finite body of value, invisible body of value, simultaneous nature value discernment, simultaneous nature value / value nature relationship to its complete nature identities of value progression discernment. This is why the Old Testament says that we're supposed to write this part. It's telling us, it's showing us what to write with the science. It's not telling us for theater, positive. You can't defend that and explain what criminal insidious nature is. You can't defend that nature of spirit. It's the spirit. And when someone comes in with correlation nature simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means, as the means of that one way redeems. See, we have passions. Just see a little clip of a guy who plays the piano, one of the guys goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ is the one." See what put that aggression in there. A big guy too. Which I don't always remember his name. But the point is, that's not the if he had an honest premise treatment with no criminal foreign influences, with no physical delusions, with no roles with that nature, worse than entertained, that would be one thing. They don't have the sequence nature of the Quran or of the Old Testament, and or of what led up to that, and or of what it is in now by anyone defended right. And that's not demonstrated because not even mandated law let follow. And they have wire crime methods and mail crime methods and crime methods with the courts standing that you can't counter because they're pretending things are recorded, even though other is recorded actually. And just because no one's watching. They love that poem by Robert Frost. Which is not but for the wrong reasons. They love it. Well, if the tree falls in the woods, does it really make a sound? It makes a sound. This is a course that is unto itself. See, we have value nature systems that think that because they're frustrated reactions as victim predators. So not one person is allowing the protraction of free speech. And with that, they're defending justifications of roles, defending themselves by defending physical delusions, by defending offensive evidence reception predator tricks, like pretending to be about good evidence. You don't even, correlation nature is how you discern simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. It's how you discern what is proper research. You don't make things up. You have to quote your sources. But I'm using correlation nature alone here. I'm using the Trinity. I'm using the identity coming into it, Allah. I'm using the physical delusions with those with the narratives of extremism and of stability and of the physical delusions, and the sequence shift crime roles with those recorded using those physical delusions, intersciences, with group nations criminal with psychology already. They're with prison systems and value markets positions as victim predators in relationship to area zoning laws and stuff like that. See the pathology of homes in Russia and here, recorded criminally foreign influence here and there by the same organized crime method that came since before modern nations, specifically as one to keep each nation blaming other things like money and like titles and selves without letting wrong, so they could prevent demonstration of the real criminal uses of titles, of selves, where forgiveness was for, because everyone's preventing free speech. Everyone's involved with identity theft methods per what facilitated originally, and still everybody, before Native Americans, tribes A through Z, and colonists A through Z simultaneously, sickly distinctly, the Native Americans, so they could hide how sickly, non-distinctly every single person was a victim predator of this that came from semi-ancient times. As times that they couldn't defend properly, so they brought history, everyone into defenses of it with physical delusions, defenses of tactically criminally foreign influence sciences, and that's defenses of fact qualities of fact treatment nature that cause negative value nature progressions, acts and natures, as treatments of the only realized voices of positive, and so as criminal insidiousness nature. And so a time came about where they realized how hard it got to get out of it when it first got the species volume, when it first got criminally foreign influenced. And so that really made them understand organized crime, the nature of criminal insidiousness nature, the nature of the identity of relationship that as nature, as the identity of logic is, as the identity that bonded matter, so we can see invisible but still discernible, its value of relationship simultaneously to invisible but still discernible, body of value, simultaneous nature as that value relationship to the identity that is caused to, and as the simultaneous a value of what is to come, progression nature, and as what is coming. And from each spot, from the identity of each spot, like campuses. Now here's the thing. Even though the Campus Marcius was taken from the species value, nature system, even though they didn't have campuses, whatever types they have, different education, tactically, sickly, distinctly, criminally re-engineered. The ground of education, actual, the identity of value it is, to the gaining nature of volume we are, which is a relationship to itself, as a forever nature that never goes away. So the value of our first president and of the chiefs first, real ones, which we are a species, all chiefs are chiefs. Per the chief of, not just of skies and space. That's why space is a semi-nature and demonstration of this, of the only complete nature. That's why space is simultaneously semi-matter and semi-invisible. And in such a way, in demonstration of the simultaneously distinct and non-distinct value of earth, or identity of relationship to itself as nature, as identity. That is the reason that it is important. One of the reasons the reason it is important to have fact sheet nature to discern the nature, proper definition of nature, is this about the Trinity, the identity it shares. The identity logic shares is Allah's name used to teach this per science of Pantheism, about the one identity in that demonstration to the many nations. This is a perfect value progression, identity of value progression that generated matter. Before matter could collide with itself, the Big Bang Theory had to, whatever the theory is, had to, before something could collide it has to be generated. See, this is the most scientific that, and demonstrably that something has to be generated before, And so a self-generating identity of value per science. See, this is what science does, discerns identities of value. Truth is an identity of value that can be used as a lie. It could be pretended as a truth when it's an overt lie. But also could be used as a lie, which is important for many reasons when we come down to the fact, cheap nature, slavery of our founders. The methods used. See, that is the same method that was used against everyone. And if you don't understand that, then we stay positions justifying and valuing the justifications of a method that broke people to keep everyone justify what's, everyone's broke, fact, cheap, and nature slave. When you try to say that the slavery of our founders forced zoning laws before cars, houses are valued because there's not enough space. It's garbage. We didn't even have cars. This is tactically denatured relationship to nature to cause negative value nature progressions. Engineered, already having been blamed on others themselves, for a method to have that already valued to maintain that self-cultivated value. Just keep going, everyone. The jobs, go for the, as a value nature system that can't defend that, and us at the same time, so they're making math value. And you can't defend their convictions with that. Identities of jobs and titles, and stand correlation natures, trinities, simultaneously inherent active and progressive means, because the one way redeems. See, now we could learn things through contemplation. We could learn things instantly. We have semi-complete memory and demonstration of what is only going to stay complete onto itself. Perfect value progression as a trinity. And this is discernible the way it is 5 pillars per science. I'm not asking faith at all. And I'm asking passions and emotions, especially of leaders of religions, to check themselves. Because that's what they do from the background, all rap mobs. That's what Christmas is about. Interbranch, individually, grouped, together. The branches, how they're maintained criminally foreign influence, and all tied to them, like prisons. Like how they use that to put Jesus Christ and many other in prisons that didn't deserve it. And that don't deserve it now each day. Not let demonstrate how they're set up. How exception nature are set up for crime methods, roles with offensive evidence perception already long invested for a method that engineered that much worse. The recorded proofs, most logical, not just most logical, proofs, the overt criminal enterprises were more facilitated, for and are more still facilitated and being used for a completely fact, cheap in nature organized crime method that has nothing to do with drugs, for example, and with the other natures of banking crimes, crimes with streams of money and things like that. But originally and still it built natures of fact, cheap in nature quality, invested as styles of fact, cheap in nature, as criminal insidious nature machine. Slavery machine of our founders, of our stolen American history in our faces, so they can make mistakes and then rely on precedents recorded or only let realized criminally foreign influence delusions wrought. Everyone involved with that, not by accident, having valuing, even though being victims of it, as fact cheap in nature, valuing, saying, oh, this contrast, that's, what am I going to do? You see what I'm saying? Because this is how they're exploiting types of experts to keep those types of experts, those titles as weapons, furthering those crimes to all areas sustained. It's not by accident we need constant streams of training of undercover police forms, foreign and domestic, shared policing, sick, as well we don't have free speech to tell about, even though it's already recorded. I'm not a police form, not a criminal, not a military, not a lawyer. Vaccines. It tells us things. The sciences share this identity, not just logic, and this is greater than logic. Not just the bond of it is greater than logic, the value progression of it is greater. And so ours is, as positive or negative forced. But in relationship to this system that we all agree about, but we can't through these value nature systems, other math ones. This is greater than math. This is the algorithm. The Campus Marcius ancient gaming system is the algorithm. Every other algorithm is inside this. So in your game, we have also the species to work with. We have a mean stack, but we have a Trinity to work with always, with a value nature relationship to itself always. We have the instant means of evolution to stack mental with a one course shared. This tactically did not let some people read, let other people read value math, because it's a bridge with the physical delusions recorded, effectively maintain self-value, cultivated further self-value per line progression.